My name is Keith Nitka, and I'm proud to be the Battleship Operations Manager here on board Battleship Wisconsin. And I want to thank you for joining me today on this Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure. For today's virtual adventure, we're going to look at some more sailor art here on board the ship. In this installment, we're going to see some pieces of art that, in my opinion, are pretty cool. It's out of the beaten path, so to speak, but some of it is really just pretty neat to see. So if you don't mind, come with me. We'll take a walk and we'll see some of this art, okay? So here's another piece of artwork done by Sailor Artwork, of course. This is the door to 5th Division. We're inside the Citadel here on the O1 level. You see, of course, there's the painted rope around the edges, 5th Division, Mark of Excellence with the crossed anchors, the rating symbol for the bosun mates. 5th Division was one of the deck divisions here on board the ship, of course, and this was their office, so they decorated their door. But let's move on to another spot. So here in this picture, you can see Poe the Sailor Man. Now, it's hard to make out because it's been here, of course, since commissioning in 1988. It was done by Bosunmate Second Class Tuzinski up in this area. We are just outside of the Citadel, all the way forward. We're on the O2 level, just outside of the Citadel. The Citadel, of course, runs from the pilot house in the O4 level down to the 3rd deck. And it doesn't sit in the weather, but it's kind of in a weathered space, which is why it is getting weathered the way that it is. There's been talk of possibly BM2 Tuzinski coming back and redoing the work, but that is still something that we're working on. That's Poe the Sailor Man here on board Battleship Wisconsin. So let's move on to another spot. So here you can see on the door here, it says Wisconsin Medical Department, the symbol for the medical department. The other side of this door is the ward, which is just off of the surgical suite here on board Battleship Wisconsin. Battleship Wisconsin, of course, has a full medical department. So this whole area down here by turret number 2, in between turret number 2 and turret number 1 on the 3rd deck inside the armored box is all medical. So this is a medical department door here, and we're going to go around the corner and see the admin office. So again, down in medical, most of the doors down here in medical are ordained in some way with just the room that it is. Like this one is medical ad. This is the only other door other than the ward that actually has the symbol for the medical department on it. But again, doors, very common with sailor art, and this is medical admin office. But we're going to keep moving aft and see a few other things. So here you can see on the door, forward IC, forward, FWD, forward, and then IC, interior communications. And then, of course, this is a telephone. This is the rating symbol for the IC-men that are on board the ship. We have a forward IC, and then we have to have an after IC, or an aft IC. The symbol back there is exactly the same. The door looks exactly the same, just it says aft instead of FWD for forward. But we're going to continue on and show you something that I thought was really cool when I first saw it. So we're down on the 3rd deck inside of the armored box. This, of course, is Broadway. We're at the head of Broadway. Fire room number 1 is right here, doors on either side of me, and as behind me is the rest of Broadway that leads to the rest of the engineering department as far as fire and engine rooms. But when I first came on board the ship, I was the maintenance supervisor here on board the ship, and we were getting ready to open up the 3rd deck to guests. I was down here. We have a fire room and engine room tour that happens, and I was down here cleaning up, and I happened to find some sailor art, just a little glint of blue paint on the deck, and I started cleaning, and what I ended up finding was the symbol for the boiler technicians here at one of the doorways to fire room number 1. So you can see there on the deck the sailor's art, that's Hero's Engine, and of course it says 1, and then below it fire room. This is one of the entrances to fire room number 1. When I first started, you couldn't see anything other than a little corner of the of Hero's Engine that was blue. Everything else was covered in black dirt. I cleaned all that up, and this is what I found underneath it. So I was really excited when I found that after I had cleaned it all up. One of the really cool things, and a lot of people that had been here, of course, for many years prior to opening up this space and going through these areas, had no idea it was there. So it was one of those Easter egg moments where you find this really cool thing that hasn't been seen since 1991. But let's continue on. So this is one of those neat spaces on the battleship where it has been repurposed over time. We're on the O3 level, just behind the flag bridge, which is, if you could turn around, would be behind. Well, it would be behind you if you could turn around. But this is, I believe, in the 1940s was used by the signalman. Was the signalman shack, because on either side here is where you find the flag bags here on the battleship, and there are also battle ports on either side that they can open up and look out, and you can see different things. It is very armored because it is in the atmosphere, so to speak. But in the 1980s, the 1990s, this was MWR. This was the ship's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Department. MM1 Long was the MWR representative here on board the ship. This was his office. This was his space. So here we have on the deck more sailor art, of course. It says USS Wisconsin, MWR Navy, Recreational Services, and then BB-64 there at the bottom. This space is now used by the ham radio club on board the ship, so it's not normally open to the public where people can see this. But when the ham radio operators are here on board, they'll have this door open, and they have the other door open, and they love to talk with people and explain to them how Morse code and all that stuff works. And that part of what they do here on board the ship for education is interact with guests. This is the sailor art here, the MWR space up on the O3 level. But we got some more things to see. So we're still on the O3 level. We're now aft of the MWR space where we just were. And this is the signal shack in the 1980s. There's a door there behind you that leads to the starboard weather deck and the starboard flag bag. On the other side of the office is the door that leads to the port side flag bag. But as you can see here, the signalmen used their rating badge symbol, the crossed flags, with a drill, got fancy and drilled holes into the door representing their rating badge. So again, door, sailor art. It's a little on the unconventional side as what you'd normally think of being sailor art, but it does fall under the category of sailor art. So we're here now in the O2 level. This in the 1980s, of course, is the photo lab. The photo lab was in the 1940s and the 50s, was actually up on was here on the O2 level, but further aft, not too far from where the ship took her one and only hit there from the Koreans. But this is in the 1980s, the photo lab. So this is the photo lab office here. The other side of this door is the dark room. And then here, of course, on the door is the rating symbol for the photographer's mates in the 1980s. And it is divergent light rays passing through a lens. That's what this is. And this is so in the 1940s, 50s, it was a camera. That was the rating symbol. It was a camera. And then in the I believe it was the 80s, the early 80s is where they changed over from the camera symbol to divergent light rays passing through a lens. So we're on the second deck, just off of the forward athwartships passageway. This is the deck office, First Lieutenant. In the other installment, of course, you saw the hand with the cast that said First Lieutenant on it up in the 04 level. This was the First Lieutenant's office here. So it's the ship's crest, which again is the main motif here for sailor art on board the ship. But across the top's got deck office here in the banner, First Lieutenant, the chief's anchor, the senior chief's anchor, and then the master chief's anchor here in the middle. And then crossed anchors, cross-fouled anchors, which of course is the rating symbol for the bosun mate. The First Lieutenant, deck office, he's in charge of deck department here, the First Lieutenant. So I want to thank you for joining me today on this Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure, and I hope that y'all can visit us real soon and see this stuff live and in person, because it looks good on camera, but to actually stand in front of it and look at it and see it, to stand where the sailor that did the work stood, it's just a special piece all to itself. But thank you, and have a great day.